Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting on our coaching hats and tackling one of the absolute most revealing tests of your leadership you'll ever face, the sudden, high-stakes resignation. Look, if you've stepped up into a management role, you already know the job isn't just about assigning tasks or checking off deliverables. It's about navigating some seriously complex human dynamics. And today, we're going to walk through a scenario that literally separates the rookie managers from the truly mature leaders. So picture this. Your absolute go-to person drops a massive ultimatum right on your desk. Take a breath and ask yourself honestly, what's your immediate reaction? You know exactly the person I'm talking about, right? The one who seemingly holds the keys to the kingdom. Your stomach just drops. What do you actually do when they look you in the eye and say, I'm leaving right now unless you meet my list of demands? Make no mistake, this is a defining moment for you as a manager.
Let's start with Section 1, the resignation panic, facing the ultimatum.
Listen, you're a manager now, and this is a scenario that plays out every single day in the corporate world. A highly valued team member walks into your office, or maybe pops up on a surprise video call, and boom, they resign. But there's a catch. They come armed with demands. They want a massive pay bump, a leapfrog promotion, or a totally new role. This is the person who knows your biggest client inside out, or they control a supercritical process, and they know full well their demands are going to be incredibly difficult for the company to meet right now. Basically, they've backed you into a corner.
And your very first instinct in this moment? Well, it's what we call the manager's instinct. It's that overwhelming, almost physical urge to panic, to protect the team's output at all costs, and just do whatever it takes to keep that person in their seat. Your brain immediately flashes to the missed deadlines, the angry clients, the absolute operational chaos that's going to unfold if they walk. But as your coach, I have to tell you, following that instinct almost always leads to a decision that makes things considerably worse. It's a rookie mistake, and it's driven by the fear of personal inconvenience rather than strong leadership.
Which brings us to Section 2, equity versus leverage, assessing the demands. Before you do anything, before you say a single word, you must pause, breathe, and honestly assess what they're actually asking for. You've got to separate these demands into two distinct buckets. On one hand, you have reasonable requests. That's a matter of equity. If someone is asking for flexible working or they're genuinely underpaid compared to the market, fixing that isn't caving. That's just correcting a managerial oversight, right? But then you have unreasonable demands. This is leverage. If the demands are way out of proportion and driven entirely by them applying pressure using hoarded knowledge, you have officially crossed into incredibly dangerous territory. Our source material hits the nail on the head here. Quote, if the demands are genuinely out of proportion, you are facing a test of your leadership. And when you face this test, the answer should almost always be an unequivocal no. I need you to hear this loud and clear. You are no longer dealing with a retention problem. You're dealing with a hostage situation. And as a manager, we don't negotiate with hostages.
Let's look at Section 3, the cost of caving, rewarding the wrong behavior.
So what happens if you just cave and say yes? Let me walk you through the toxic fallout of that choice. See, often this employee's leverage comes directly from hoarding knowledge, whether they did it consciously or unconsciously, instead of documenting it. Maybe they're the only one who knows how to navigate some clunky proprietary system. Or they're fiercely guarding a specific client relationship, or holding on to years of totally undocumented institutional memory. By giving in, you're actively rewarding them for failing to share their knowledge.
And it boils down to a super basic, unflinching rule of psychology. Rewarded behavior repeats. If you reward knowledge hoarding by caving in, you guarantee it's going to happen again. Think about it. You are literally funding the dysfunction in your own team. You're paying them to remain a single point of failure.
And hey, don't kid yourself for a second. The rest of your team notices exactly what just happened, even if nobody says a word out loud. Amid the whispers and resentment, your actual team players are learning a very clear lesson. The implicit message is, don't share what you know. Don't waste time mentoring others. Don't bother taking on harder challenges to get ahead. Instead, just make yourself completely irreplaceable by keeping secrets, and then squeeze the company for a payday.
And here's the real kicker. 12 months from now, even if you pay them off today, you will likely be having this exact same conversation. Why? Because the underlying dynamic hasn't changed one bit. Hoarding knowledge and leveraging it is a habit. It worked perfectly this time, so they, or maybe someone else watching them, will absolutely try it again. Your job isn't to buy a temporary reprieve for today, it's to solve the problem for good.
Moving to Section 4, looking up the chain, your manager's perspective.
You have to step out of your own silo for a minute and look at this through your boss's eyes. If you run up the chain begging for budget to meet these unreasonable demands, you're making your disruption their problem. And trust me, they are going to have some very hard questions for you. They're going to ask, how did one single employee get this much leverage over your whole team's output? Were you letting them operate in a silo? Where were your continuity plans? Seriously, what would you have done if this person was out sick for 3 weeks?
And honestly, those are entirely legitimate questions. The vulnerability was glaringly visible, long before that resignation letter was ever drafted. By asking the cave, you're just highlighting your own failure to manage risk. As our source points out, caving now doesn't resolve the core issue. It just postpones the reckoning.
Let's switch gears to Section 5, the alternative playbook, how to rebuild.
Okay, so if caving is off the table, what's the actual game plan? Here is your coach's playbook. Step 1. Hold the line. Let the exit proceed and just embrace the short-term disruption. Rip the Band-Aid off. Step 2. Map out every single task that breaks without them. Step 3. Find internal solutions. Redistribute the work. Use this exact moment to uncover hidden capabilities in your team that you didn't even know were there. Step 4. Communicate honestly with your team. And Step 5. Take those clearly laid out solutions to your manager, not your panic.
This right here is a massive culture-building moment for you. Have a direct, transparent conversation with your team about the culture you actually want. Remind them what success looks like in your department. It looks like freely sharing knowledge, taking real ownership, and developing others, not hoarding secrets to build a little empire. Lean into the discomfort, and I absolutely guarantee that in hindsight, you'll realize you drastically overestimated the impact of them leaving.
Finally, Section 6, passing the maturity test, true leadership. This is the ultimate bottom line on how this single event defines your growth. We define leadership maturity as accepting that disruptions are simply part of the job. Yielding to unreasonable demands has very little to do with what's actually best for the company. If we're being completely honest, it's usually just a rookie mistake to reduce the short-term headache in your own life. It's totally understandable to want the easy way out, but it's not leadership.
I want you to remember this quote. Disruptions due to resignations, system failures, morale issues, and conflicts are not exceptional events. They are part of the job. The sooner you deeply accept this, and the sooner you stop trying to buy your way out of completely normal disruptions, the more effective you're going to be. You'll get so much better at navigating this, and your team will be incredibly stronger for it.
So, think about your own team right now. Are you currently allowing a knowledge hoarder to build dangerous leverage over your operations? I'd love to hear how you plan to handle your next leadership maturity test, or how you've handled one in the past. What did you do, and what would you do differently knowing what you know now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and until next time, keep leading with clarity and confidence.